Okay, so this video, ladies and gentlemen, coming from Kevin in Kevin's Corner, is entitled When Identity Politics Goes Wrong. Okay, did anybody see the Young Turks, where they just assume that a 91-year-old Mexican man that was beaten by a brick and told to go back to his country was done by racist, most likely white Trump supporters? That's what they thought. That's what they thought. And I was watching when they first got the news, and the one guy, whoever his name is, the pudgy guy, him. The girl kind of, just gave the details, but the other guy, he starts assuming. And he's like, you know where this is coming from? This is coming from the rhetoric that's going on straight out of the White House. This stuff is just encouraging people to express these things. And he referenced Trump supporters, and he referenced racism, and he referenced all these things that he just assumed that if a Mexican man, old man, was beaten by somebody and told to go back to his country, it had to be a racist Trump supporter. They probably was riding around in their pickup with their Confederate flag on, like, look who's over there, Speedy Gonzalez, or Slowpoke Rodriguez in this case. Let's pull over and get him, Earl. Yeah, that's who he thought it was. So he jumped the gun. He double started, he false started. The double fire went out too quick. And start talking about, who does this? Who would use a brick to beat a 91-year-old man? This is, you know what? Look, this is where we're at, people. This is where we're at. Look where the country's at now. I mean, all because of the rhetoric coming out of the White House and Trump supporters and yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden, the Price is Right music kicked in. Dun, 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 dun. After he found out the next day that the beating took place from a black lady named LaQuisha or something like that. As soon as she read the name, because she was like, yesterday we reported on a beating of a 91-year-old man. Come to find out the suspect's name was Laquita something. As soon as I heard the name, I was like, that don't sound like Earl. It don't sound like Bobby. It don't sound like none of them. It sounds like Sister Girl. And you can see that the lady was reading the information real gently. Like, oh, shoot, we're going to take some backlash for this. And then they turned the camera on the, who, that guy, the one who runs it, I don't know his name. And he had egg on face. He was squirming, trying to explain that. Well, this is the crazy world we live in. It's still bad, I guess, that this man, and I'm going, wait a minute, what, why aren't you calling Laquita out? Why aren't you saying she's a Trump supporter and she's a racist and it was motivated by hate? It's a hate crime and all of that stuff. Why aren't you doing that? Huh? Why aren't you doing that, Young Turks? Could it be because you guys are more interested in painting a narrative that Trump is responsible for all sources of evil? Anything that goes wrong in the whole world or universe, it's Trump's fault? Could it be because your whole platform that revolves around everybody's feelings and justice for all, which is unrealistic, and trying to make it seem like everybody's a victim, and for any bad thing to happen, it couldn't have came from sensible people. Surely couldn't have came from black people that fits a minority category and helps out with our race baiting, or couldn't have came from any other minority group that we say that are all victims. It had to come from a Trump supporter, especially dealing with Mexicans, and the fact that they said that you need to go back to your country because everybody in America, besides Trump, white upper class men, wants illegal immigrants to be here and to stay here. So surely it wasn't a black person. So you jumped the gun, buddy, and went out there talking reckless, and then had the big fat egg on face. And you could see him. He was up under the collar. He was a Rodney Dangerfield for a minute. Oh, yeah, I might have got a little ahead of myself on that one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he looked stupid. I was going, where is somebody right now interviewing this dodo and saying, how do you explain all the race baiting you pushed the day before finding out any of the facts like many people do, jump the gun, start getting mad, protesting, tearing up stuff before they find out all the details, huh? So my question is, where was anybody? Where did anybody talk to him on Twitter? I want to see some of the fallout. I want to see the excuse that he gives for stepping out the day before and laying out all of this garbage and rhetoric that could have potentially started all types of protests and violence. It's equivalent to Jesse Jackson when Michael Brown got shot before he found out any of the details, went down there and said, this here is an assassination. And then you get the Young Turks talking about, see, look, this is the world we live in. I mean, Trump's cabinet pushing hatred and division, and you know, it's all about hatred and racism and this and that. But is Laquita a Trump supporter? Is she a racist? And she was a big girl too. If you would have saw her, I'm not sure. Look her up. She's a big girl. The old man didn't stand a chance. She looked like she's weighing in at about a good 230, 6'2", perhaps heavy-handed. I'm telling you, you don't want to run into Laquita or LaQuisha or whatever her name was in a dark alley. Matter of fact, she might give the dude who was race baiting on the Young Turks a run for his money, beat him up, and she might tell him, you need to go back to your country too, wherever that's from. But nonetheless, he softened his tone when he found out it was Laquita or LaQuisha or whatever his name. He walked it back. Yeah, because he had his foot all the way down his throat to where you could see the tip of the shoe sticking out of his butt. This is a case of identity politics gone wrong. Now, you've been listening to Kevin in Kevin's Corner. Hopefully that's a lesson to all of the liberal media who feel they can just throw any narrative out there that they want and not be held accountable or look stupid. That just ruins his credibility and shows his real motive. It's not to report facts. It's simply to push a narrative. And I myself, after watching it, laughed out loud hard. I'm talking about that type of laugh where no more sounds coming out, but your mouth is just wide open, where you like this, and then the sound come out later. That type of laugh? Yeah, it was that type of laugh where you start praying to stop laughing because you think you're gonna die of laughing. You know, it was one of those like, man, I almost died laughing last night. Literally. That's how funny it was watching this dude try to clean up his mess that he made. Now, you've been listening to Kevin in Kevin's Corner. Find me, Facebook, Twitter, Wednesday nights, 7:30. And also, if you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, the link's in the bottom. Do yourself a favor, get you some popcorn, some pop, get the kids, have everybody gather around. Google that the Young Turks accuses 91-year-old man of being beaten by Trump supporters and then had to walk it back. And you'll have a great night of laughter as well. God bless. See you next time in Kevin's Corner.